What if you could turn your TFSA into $40 million and pay zero in taxes? Well, two Canadians pulled off this near impossible feat. But before you go all in on your next hot stock, there's something you need to hear. I'll unpack how they might have pulled this off, including 3 bold strategies that range from ultra risky to almost impossible to access. Some involve perfect timing, others took years of quiet patience, and one might have slipped through a CRA loophole. So here's the $40 million TFSA story. Let me tell you something wild. According to data directly from the CRA, not just one, but 2 people in Canada have TFSAs worth over $40 million. That's right, not $40 million in a business or in real estate, but inside a tax-free savings account. One of them is sitting right at around $40 million and the other is close to $44 million. That's more money than most Canadians will earn in multiple lifetimes, sitting in what's technically considered a savings account. These aren't average investors, these are outliers, unicorns. So how the hell is this even possible? The TFSA has only been around for about 16 years. Seriously, what kind of crazy moves do you have to make to turn a $102,000 TFSA limit into $40 million in just 16 years? Now, I don't know exactly how they did it. No one does because they've decided wisely to remain anonymous. But let's talk about a few ways you could theoretically turn a small TFSA into a $40 million monster. Here's the crazy strategy number 1, options trading. Alright, buckle up. Let's say it's 2015. You've got $10,000 in your TFSA and you're watching Tesla closely. A volatile, controversial stock that's swinging around wildly. Instead of buying the stock, you decide to buy call options. You think it's going to jump. Each option costs $5 per share and you could buy 20 contracts, and that's control over 2,000 shares. Then Tesla pops, big time. Your options 10x. That $10,000 turns into $100,000. But you don't stop there. Now you roll the dice again, this time on Nvidia. You see AI coming and you buy call options when the stock is under $50. A few months later, another huge run. Your $100,000 becomes $500,000. Next trade is Shopify just before COVID sends e-commerce through the roof. You bet big and it pays off yet again. Now your TFSA is at $2.5 million. You make 2 more huge lucky bets, maybe on GameStop during the meme frenzy or Nvidia again in 2023. One more 5x, then another 3x, and suddenly your TFSA is sitting at over $35 million, tax-free. Yes, that's how powerful timing plus luck can be with options trading. So what are options exactly? Well, they're contracts that give you the right, not the obligation, to buy or sell a stock at a certain price in the future. Because you're not buying the actual stock, they're cheap compared to what it would cost to buy the stock, but it's incredibly sensitive to price movements. If the stock jumps, your option might go from $2 to $10 in just a couple days. That'd be a 5x return. If it drops or doesn't move fast enough, that option can go to 0 instantly. It's like investing on steroids. Small wins become huge, but one mistake and you crash. But here's where things get a little dicey. The CRA has rules. If your account shows signs of business-like activity, such as frequent trades, short holding periods, high volume, they can audit you. And if they decide you're running a business, all those tax-free gains become fully taxable income. Imagine building your TFSA up to $10 million, then getting slapped with a 50% tax bill and penalties on top of that. It's not just a winning trade, it's a high wire act, and the CRA is circling underneath. The worst part is the CRA doesn't give clear guidelines on how much is too much. It's vague on purpose. And I break down this problem in a lot more detail in my CRA red flags video, so check that out if you haven't already. So could you do it? Technically, yes, if you have expert level of options knowledge, time the market perfectly multiple times, stay under the CRA's radar, and get lucky. Really, really, really lucky. But let's zoom out for a second. This isn't just about knowledge or skill. You'd also have to survive gut-wrenching volatility, watching a position drop by 60%. There's also illiquid trades that can't be exited cleanly when panic sets in. There's massive psychological pressure to cash out early and the temptation to try just one more trade and losing everything. For most people, this is the fastest way to blow up their TFSA. One wrong move and your $10,000 isn't 40 million, it's 0. Or you could even owe money in some cases. This strategy is the financial equivalent of trying to jump across a canyon. It looks incredible if you make it, but miss by an inch, and there's no second chance. But hey, I don't want to sound like a jealous hater. If you can turn your TFSA into $40 million using options, congrats, and I look forward to watching your Netflix documentary. The second strategy is super lucky stock picks. Imagine it's 2009. You've just heard that Canada introduced this new thing called a tax-free savings account, and you've got a bit of room to invest. You look at the markets and one company catches your eye, Nvidia. Back then, it wasn't the AI powerhouse we know today. It was a scrappy chip maker known for making powerful gaming graphics cards. But you just had a hunch. Maybe you were in tech, or maybe you just believed in the future of computing. So you say, screw it, I'm gonna put my entire $5,000 TFSA contribution into Nvidia. Well, that one $5,000 investment would be worth over $3 million today. No options, no trading, just simply buying and holding it. But you didn't stop there, you just kept doing it. Every year for the next 15 years. Every dollar you're allowed to contribute, all $102,000 by 2025, you put straight into Nvidia stock. Now fast forward to today, Nvidia didn't just go up, it exploded. Huge, massive growth, powered by gaming, AI, data centers, and two massive stock splits. 4 for 1 in 2021 and 10 for 1 in 2024. That one bold move, it would have turned your TFSA into tens of millions of dollars, completely tax-free. Sounds unreal, right? But here's the kicker. It's technically possible. It didn't take any options or day trading or gray market loopholes, just one incredible company and the guts to never sell. But it wasn't easy. Think of it. To pull this off, you would have had to, first of all, spot Nvidia's potential in 2009, before AI was even a buzzword and it was just a penny stock, basically. You would have also had to max your TFSA every single year without missing a beat. Then you would have had to ignore every piece of advice telling you to diversify or to rebalance. You would have had to sit through 50% drawdowns in 2011, 2018, and the COVID crash in 2020. And also resist the urge to cash out when your $20,000 investment turned into $200,000 or $2 million or $20 million. This kind of success isn't flashy, but it takes conviction, discipline, and a stomach of steel. But that's how some of Canada's biggest TFSA balances were likely built. Not by chasing hype, but by making one brilliant long-term decision and holding on. Here's the other side though. For every Nvidia, there are thousands of penny stocks that went nowhere, crashed to zero. For every TFSA millionaire who nailed it, there are countless others who had tried something similar and blew up their account. That's why the Nvidia story is so powerful. It's not just a financial success, it's a unicorn, a once-in-a-generation outcome that feels simple in hindsight, but was nearly impossible to see in the moment. Yes, it's technically repeatable, but almost nobody does. The third strategy, the startup flip. Picture this, you're working at a startup in Toronto in 2016. You're employee number 14. Not a founder, not a VP, just an early hire grinding long hours for mostly equity instead of salary. You get no dental, no bonuses, but hey, they give you that 60,000 stock options at $1 per share. And you think, why not hold these shares in my TFSA? If this company takes off, the gains would be tax-free. And then you waited. The company grew quietly. No viral launches. It's just a solid product with a few big contracts and a buzz in the industry. And then one day the Slack message drops. All hands in 10. We have big news. The company is being acquired at $56 per share. You do the math. That's 60,000 shares times 56, which is $3.36 million. And because you held those shares inside your TFSA, every single dollar of it is tax-free. Now imagine if you were an even earlier employee with 10 times the amount of shares. That could be worth about $33 million today. So yes, it is possible. But here's what most people don't realize. Holding private company shares inside your TFSA is not something you could casually do. You need to meet strict conditions. Otherwise, the CRA can come down very hard and basically take away all of your gains. For it to be allowed, the shares must be an arm's length company, meaning you can't own or control the business. So if you're an early hire like this guy, you would really have to prove it. You must have a proper third-party valuation at the time of transfer, and the shares must be considered qualified investments under CRA rules. And on top of this, your broker must actually allow private securities in your TFSA. If the CRA audits your TFSA and decides you've broken the rules, they can disqualify the entire account, tax 100% of the gains, and pile on penalties and interest. In other words, instead of millions in tax-free profits, you could be looking at a six-figure tax bill and a very angry accountant. I break this down in way more detail in my banned TFSA investments video, so check that out if you haven't already. So could it work? Yes. Yes, there's been story of people cashing out for millions with their stock options, and for the lucky few who got it right, their TFSA became a multi-million-dollar launchpad for some tax-free wealth, but it's not easy and definitely not beginner-friendly. You need, first of all, access to startup equity, then you need a compliant arm's-length setup, then you need a clean exit like an IPO or a buyout, and ideally, a good accountant or financial advisor in your corner. Could someone really turn a TFSA into $40 million? Technically, yes, but it's like walking into a casino with $1,000 and doubling it 16 times in a row to walk out with $60 million. It's not impossible, but so unlikely that it borders on fantasy, especially if you're using meme stocks, short-term options, or trying to just time the market right. Here's what you're really up against. There's CRA risk. If your trades look too frequent or sophisticated, they can call it business income and tax 100% of your gains, plus penalties and interest. And there's also extreme financial risk. Options and speculative plays can wipe out your entire TFSA at a moment's notice. You also need flawless timing, discipline, and luck. The kind that almost requires insider level insight. The emotional pressure is brutal. There's wild swings, FOMO, panic selling. Most people would tap out long before reaching 7 figures even. And while the startup equity route is the most legit path to tax-free millions, it's also the hardest to access. You would need all of these things like the right job, meaningful equity, and a successful exit. And yes, while some Canadians have pulled it off, but for every one of these stories, there are thousands who've tried and ended up just with an empty TFSA, a flagged account, or a 6-figure tax bill. So what's the takeaway? You should be curious, you should be strategic, but you should also use your TFSA wisely. It's probably not wise to build your entire financial future around a 1 in a million shot. If you're serious though about growing wealth in Canada, your TFSA is more than just a savings account. It's a tax-free powerhouse. And here at Blueprint, we help Canadians use it the smart way to grow money, lower taxes, and build real freedom. And if you want to know how to do it without getting on the CRA's radar, you can check out my free guide on the 5 steps to a $1 million TFSA. The link is in the description. There's a lot more to this than just one video though. If this helped, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss out on what's next.